Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on the YouTube account. We're going to be checking out some of the maps with the new Abyssal Expedition that is going to be actually starting tonight. Some of the boss comps we're going to look at, some of the maps of this layout. Guys, the layout on this one is absolutely massive. There are actually two maps, so I believe you're going to get to a point. It's going to take you up to the Sky Realm or the upper deck, the second map, and then you have to go in there before you fight the Sky Serpent. Now, the boss overall looks incredibly cool, guys. This is a really, really well-built boss. Again, a lot of testing in here. Now, the weakening settings, this is going to be kind of the interesting part, guys. So essentially, from my understanding, there are going to be a couple different beacons in or beacons, whatever you want to call them. But they are going to be able to weaken the abilities that the boss has. So this is going to throw in a huge variant to what we have on there. And you can see we can actually cancel out. So weakened that skill depending on the stones that we have. But I believe at this point, you have to pick and choose which one you can weaken in here. And there's also a couple comments or a couple posts over on Discord that we're talking about that every stone can only be active on life 1 through 4. So if you have the stones, I don't know if we can put in more than one. I don't know though if the boss trial, as you can see, it doesn't let us do more than one. But it also says in life 5, none of the stones will be available. So if you're in a competitive Abyssal Expedition, you are not going to be able to use these stones in the 5th life, even if you have them. And again, looking at some of the things that Belinda answered, even if you did not use them in previous lives. So I don't know if they're going to be available every single time, or if you use a stone once, that you're not going to be use it for the subsequent lives based on the build. It also said we have to wait for specific details when the Abyssal Expedition is launched. So they're not going a lot of that. But again, another post over here. According to the info on hand, there are a total maximum of 4 stones that a team can get by defeating guardians in the buildings in the event. So we can get 4 stones. This is 4 stone, or essentially represents the 4 stones that we can get. Each stone can weaken one specific skill, and only 1 stone can be active for each life of the boss. So it is going to be exactly like we see here, guys. You're going to be able to use 1 stone per life. And again, I don't know if you can use the stone more than once. I do not think so. So I think once you use a stone, it is gone. So again, kind of breaking it down, guys. So if you look here, so let's say we acquired all 4 stones. You can only use the 4 stones in the first 4 phases or 4 lives of this boss, meaning that if I'm going to go in here and I'm going to use this Winged Fury, we're going to weaken it, we're going to take it away. That means the next boss number 2, I cannot use this Whirling Fury anymore. I'm going to have to use one of these other 3. So again, systematically, this is going to be crazy if you're in a competitive guild to know exactly when, and you're really not going to know when to use which stone on which life, because 1 through 4 is going to have the lives. The 5th life is not going to have the stone. Let's go ahead and look at the maps, and I'm going to check out Ciro's guide. Check out his YouTube channel, guys. I want to show you some of the initial trial boss comps that we're seeing within here, so let's take a look at them. All right, guys, so as you can see, this map is massive, guys. And I think it's going to be broken into sections, so I'm not sure if like we're going to start down here on these maps, or this is going to be kind of the entry point. Because usually what happens is it funnels everyone in to a certain point. And I don't know if like this dark blue and this side are going to be some of the guardian spots where we're picking up some of those stones, and exactly where we're going to hit. It might be this little pad right here that is going to take you to the second map, or this, I'm assuming, is where a stone is. That's just my general consensus. I haven't seen it over on the test server to open up the map and see, but it looks like there's a stone kind of right here. It looks like there's one kind of over in here. And then it looks like right here, this little, I know it's tiny, this little middle piece is another stone. So this might be the part where you do get the 4 stones. And then looking at the second map, which is this one, this is the Sky Zone. So I don't know, again, exactly where we're going to be dropped in. But again, you can kind of see like this looks like a point. This looks like a point. This looks like a point. They have kind of a couple different altars, which means there's going to be a lot of moving on this map, guys. You can see just from this, looking at the points, we're going to have to figure this out. Again, it's already up on the test server, but I decided not to run it just with time constraints. We're going to have to see exactly what this looks like when it comes up on global and we get into it tonight. All right, guys, and here is the initial AE guide. Again, this is the beta initial comps from Zero. Big shout out, guys. Check out his YouTube channel. Amazing content when it comes to AFK Arena. But you can see over here, guys, we do have the Belinda comp in here, and it is running, of course, right there. It is running Jerome in here. Jerome is going to give a massive buff to, of course, the Light Bearers. Then we have Palmer, and then we have Rosaline in there doing a lot of damage. Now, these are tested as we see it today. We don't know exactly what the effect of the stones are going to be in the team comps and what kind of team comps are going to come out of that. Once we start getting those stones, once we use them in conjunction with a bunch of different places, we're going to have to see exactly what we get out of here. Now, also, we don't know the impact of Robin Hood. Honestly, I'm pretty disappointed with the hero overall. So looking at the Rem, these are kind of some of the older comps that we've seen. So we have Rem in here with Anasta, and then of course we have the triple buffers right here. Gonna have to see if these teams really do hold true. But you can see, guys, 19 billion, 17 billion. So putting out some pretty strong teams right here, Liberta and Lucila. With the Awakened version of Laika, we have Demia in here, we have Nakaru or Naruko. Very, very strong as a buffer. You know, I think a lot of players do underestimate the Mauler tank. Brings a lot of buffs, but also does a considerable amount of damage. Plus does a lot of healing. Now, overall, guys, to start this, I'm thinking I'm going to go the tank way. We did the tank way a couple different times before. It works incredibly well. You could also go with Warriors. You could go with Rangers. But overall, when you look at some of the early modes, it seems like the Awakened version of Brutus works incredibly well. Even the Ainz comp still works well. The Damon comp still works well. And then, of course, a lot of players are running Ulna with the Awakened version of Thane. That was the last AE. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like in this AE, but I would think based on those builds that they will work incredibly well within different formations. Now down here we have the Baden or Baden. That's the original version of Baden. If you don't know that, that's what he looks like with the skin. But you can see, guys, we have Mishka, we have Trishia, and again, kind of boss comp wise, we're going to have to see where Trishia kind of builds into here. Then we have the Awakened version of Solus, and then of course some buffers with our boss killer right there, and Athalia in there for additional buffs. And then hacks. This actually runs Zolrath. Of course, the boss has to be lower on health for Zolrath to really maximize the damage, but we do have some pretty good buffers in there. Now, these are the initial teams that Zero was able to put together for the first couple hours of testing. And again, the time and effort that they put into this, guys, is absolutely crazy. More teams, more variations will come over the next couple days as the testing continues, especially with over on the test server. The test server, of course, we have to wait to see when they do hit the boss. I don't think they're there yet. But once we hit the boss, what is it going to look like with the debuffs or the weakening abilities? And what's it going to look like with all of those comps, all of the comps? Now, these were tested on the boss trials. Your damage will definitely be different. Now, of course, with the boss trials, guys, makes a big difference on how you have them built. That is going to be massive, massive in here, especially if you don't have some of the heroes. Kilby Ross, big shout out to them as well. But overall, guys, we're going to have to see exactly where it's coming in. Now, again, initially, depending on the heroes you have, you can go in there with a couple different ones. Like I said, I went in there with the Awakened version of Brutus was the one that I did. So I did Brutus, I did Thane, and then I did Ulna. And we went through with that variation because Brutus, if you're a player that is significantly higher in the resonating crystal, you can actually go through there and make some pretty solid progression within taking the tier 3s and the tier 4s. And overall, guys, when you get to the Abyssal Expedition, honestly, when you're going through here and making progression, the rewards, even getting to Prince, is incredibly easy. When you start getting heroes, when you start building, building the relics behind them, it amplifies the damage to a point where as long as you have a majority of players playing, even if you go in here and you have 60, 70 players, even if you have 40, 50, you can go through here and you can do incredibly well and finish out the Prince title. Even last time we've played a couple casuals. We've been doing this for 11 seasons now, which is absolutely crazy. But getting to Duke, getting to Prince, not incredibly difficult. And I do always do the honorable enrollment. Simple fact is that it makes it a lot easier when you're going through here. But like I was saying, with the teams overall, guys, I'm going to go in with the tank. And the big thing is with the tanking relic, You do have the ability to negate the debuffs later. I went through again last time I went through with the tank, it worked incredibly well. But a lot of players also do go in with the Ranger spec just for the dodge factor, especially if you don't have an account that is really built or high levels. Having the dodge factor in here makes it incredibly easy. Followed probably by the warrior. The most difficult time that we've seen is going in with mage. But I know last time a lot of players, and I know it's crazy to think, but a lot of players were actually going in there and they did all of their progression with the support heroes. So even looking at a lot of the support heroes is, again, when you're stacking relics behind them, it seems incredibly easy to get through a lot of the content, even with support heroes, because you're stacking relics, you're amplifying the damage that they can do. And even when you look at Sophia, when you look at Lucilla, Liberta, even when you look at Ivan, there are a lot of super strong heroes in here as a support class. But again, my preference is I would pick one primary class, being the warrior, the tank, the ranger. Again, mage has been incredibly difficult, but out of those three, I would pick one, and then support would be your secondary. You're going to focus, and I'll start it tonight, guys, when we get in here, but you're going to focus on one of these. And again, I think I'm just going to go tank in here. We'll have to see in a couple hours when this comes up live. But all right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think and what class you are starting with. And as always, thank you guys for watching.